A narcissist is not as powerful as they appear to be. Their confidence is often mistaken for strength, their manipulation for intelligence, and their control for authority. But in reality, a narcissist is deeply insecure. Their entire world revolves around maintaining an illusion that they are superior, untouchable, and always in control. To understand how to break free from their influence, you must first understand their mind. When you comprehend how they think, you remove their advantage. The most dangerous weapon against a narcissist is knowledge, because once you see through them, their power over you crumbles. At the core of a narcissist's mind is a desperate need for validation. They feed on admiration, attention, and control over others. This is not a choice for them, it is a necessity. Just as a person needs air to breathe, a narcissist needs an audience to survive. Without someone to admire them, argue with them, or be controlled by them, they begin to feel powerless. This is why they constantly seek out people to manipulate, belittle, or impress. They do not build relationships based on mutual respect. They build them based on control. They do not see people as individuals with thoughts and feelings. They see them as extensions of themselves. A narcissist operates in cycles. First, they charm, impress, and create an illusion of perfection. They will make you feel special, important, and needed. But this is only to gain control. Once they have secured your admiration or dependence, the real nature of their behavior begins to show. They belittle, criticize, and manipulate, all while keeping you emotionally invested. They will make you doubt yourself, question your worth, and feel as though you must constantly prove yourself to them. But no matter what you do, it will never be enough. They will always move the goalpost, always change the rules, and always keep you in a state of confusion. This is because a narcissist does not seek peace. They seek control. And the easiest way to control someone is to keep them uncertain. Understanding a narcissist's mind also requires recognizing their greatest fear, exposure. They live in a carefully constructed reality where they are always right, always the victim, or always the hero. If anyone threatens this reality, they respond with extreme defensiveness, aggression, or manipulation. They cannot handle being questioned, criticized, or ignored. Their mind is wired to avoid any form of accountability because admitting fault would shatter the illusion they have built for themselves and others. This is why they twist the truth, rewrite history, and blame others for their mistakes. They are not concerned with reality, they are concerned with maintaining their version of it. The moment you begin to understand this, everything changes. You no longer take their words to heart because you recognize that their insults are merely projections of their own insecurities. You stop trying to prove yourself because you realize that their approval is meaningless. You no longer engage in their games because you see that their accusations, manipulations, and provocations are only tactics to keep you emotionally invested. When you understand their mind, you become immune to their influence. A narcissist is not interested in resolution. They are interested in control. This is why reasoning with them is futile. They do not argue to understand, they argue to win. They do not apologize to make amends, they apologize to maintain their dominance. Their kindness is not genuine, it is calculated. They do not care about the truth, they care about the narrative that benefits them. Once you realize this, you stop expecting them to change. You stop waiting for closure. You stop believing that if you just explain yourself better, they will finally understand. They do not want to understand. They want to manipulate. One of the greatest mistakes people make when dealing with a narcissist is believing that they can be fixed. A narcissist does not want to be healed because healing would mean losing the power they have over others. They thrive in dysfunction, chaos, and control. It is not your job to fix them. It is not your responsibility to teach them how to love, how to respect, or how to change. The only responsibility you have is to protect your mind, your peace, and your future. When you understand the narcissistic mind, you no longer seek their validation. You stop trying to make them see your worth because you realize that their inability to recognize it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. You detach from their manipulations, their games, and their attempts to control your emotions. You reclaim your power. Because the truth is, a narcissist only has as much control over you as you allow them to have. When you stop feeding their ego, when you stop reacting to their tactics, when you stop giving them the attention they crave, they lose their grip on you. Knowledge is the key to freedom. When you understand how a narcissist thinks, you no longer become a victim of their deception. You rise above their tactics, you break free from their control, and you step into a life where you are no longer defined by their manipulation. You were not created to be controlled. You were not designed to live under someone else's insecurity. You were born to be free. And when you understand this, no narcissist can ever have power over you again. A narcissist thrives on attention. It is the fuel that powers their ego, the air that keeps their illusion of superiority alive. They do not care whether the attention is positive or negative, as long as they remain the center of focus. They feed on admiration, but they also feed on conflict. If they can provoke you into reacting, they feel in control. If they can manipulate you into defending yourself, they feel powerful. This is why one of the most effective ways to strip a narcissist of their power is through complete indifference. Indifference is not the same as silence, nor is it the same as avoidance. Indifference is a state of mind. It is the ability to detach yourself emotionally from their words and actions. It is the ability to look at them and feel nothing, not anger, not sadness, not even resentment. It is the ability to recognize their attempts to provoke you and simply not engage. To a narcissist, this is unbearable. They thrive on emotional reactions. If they cannot make you angry, they cannot control you. If they cannot make you seek their approval, they cannot manipulate you. Imagine a performer on stage. They expect applause, cheers, or even boos, anything that acknowledges their presence. But what happens when the audience simply gets up and walks away? What happens when no one reacts, no one listens, and no one cares? The performance loses its meaning. The performer is left standing alone, stripped of power. This is how a narcissist feels when they are met with indifference. They expect a reaction. They expect you to argue, to defend, to cry, to fight back. When you do not, they are left with nothing. One of the ways they try to regain control is by escalating their behavior. If subtle manipulation does not work, they will try open insults. If that fails, they will attempt to guilt trip you. If that does not work, they may even resort to anger or desperation. But all of this is a test. They are watching to see if you will break, if you will give in, if you will validate them by responding. The moment you do, they know they still have influence over you. But if you remain indifferent, if you refuse to react, refuse to engage, refuse to acknowledge their attempts, they begin to feel powerless. Indifference is not about playing games or trying to win. It is about reclaiming your peace. It is about refusing to let someone else dictate your emotions. When you are indifferent to a narcissist's behavior, you send a clear message. You do not control me. You do not affect me. You do not have power over me. And this is a message they cannot stand to hear. But true indifference does not come from pretending. It is not about acting like you do not care while still seething inside. It is about genuinely detaching yourself from their influence. This requires inner strength. It requires self-awareness. It requires understanding that their words are not a reflection of you, but of them. It requires seeing their attempts to provoke you as nothing more than desperate bids for control. One of the most effective ways to develop indifference is to stop seeking validation from them. Many people fall into the trap of trying to prove something to a narcissist, proving they are right, proving they are strong, proving they are not affected. But the need to prove something still gives them power. True indifference is when you no longer care about their opinion at all. When you stop needing their approval, their praise, or even their recognition, you become untouchable. Another powerful way to maintain indifference is to shift your focus entirely. When you stop giving them your energy, when you stop wasting time analyzing their words and actions, and instead focus on your own growth, your own happiness, and your own goals, you naturally become indifferent. Your mind is no longer consumed with their games because you have more important things to focus on. A narcissist's worst nightmare is to be forgotten. They fear irrelevance more than anything. When you move on without them, when you build a life where they no longer matter, that is the ultimate loss for them. And the beauty of it all is that by practicing indifference, you do not just torture the narcissist, you free yourself. You reclaim your emotions, your energy, and your peace. You step into a life where you are in control, not them. And that is the greatest victory of all. Confidence is a language that a narcissist cannot understand, a force they cannot control, and a shield they cannot penetrate. A narcissist's greatest weapon is manipulation, and manipulation only works when the target is unsure of themselves. The moment you recognize your worth, the moment you stand firm in who you are, the moment you stop seeking external validation, you render them powerless. A narcissist thrives on control, and control is only possible when there is doubt, insecurity, and fear. When you remove these elements from your life, they have no ground to stand on. The reason confidence is such a powerful tool against a narcissist is that their entire strategy revolves around making you question yourself. They will gaslight you, belittle you, and subtly undermine your abilities to keep you dependent on their approval. They will tell you that you are not good enough, that you cannot succeed without them, that no one else will accept you the way they do. These are not statements of truth, but of fear that you will one day wake up and realize that they hold no real power over you. The moment you begin to trust yourself, to believe in your own abilities, and to recognize your own value, their influence starts to fade. A narcissist needs admiration and dominance to survive. They manipulate relationships to keep themselves in a position of superiority. But confidence reverses the power dynamic. When you walk with assurance, when you refuse to be shaken by their words, when you stand firm in your own reality instead of bending to theirs, you create an environment where they can no longer function. Narcissists feed on insecurity, so when they encounter someone who is secure, they become frustrated, irritated, and eventually they lose interest. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with a narcissist is looking for validation from them. They want to prove their worth, argue their point, or make the narcissist acknowledge their value. But a narcissist will never give you the validation you seek. They will withhold approval, shift goalposts, and make sure that no matter how much you do, it is never enough. Why? Because if you are always seeking their validation, you will always be under their control. The only way to break free from this cycle is to stop looking for their approval altogether. True confidence does not come from what others say about you. It comes from knowing who you are, independent of external opinions. A narcissist expects people to bow to their demands, to submit to their authority, to crumble under pressure. They expect their insults to hurt, their manipulation to work, and their presence to command fear. But when they meet someone who does not flinch, someone who refuses to be affected by their tactics, someone who looks them in the eye and does not waver, they begin to lose their grip. Confidence disrupts their entire strategy. It is a silent but powerful way to take back control. Confidence is not arrogance, it is certainty. It is knowing that you do not have to explain yourself, that you do not need permission to exist, that you do not need validation to pursue your purpose. It is the ability to walk away from toxic situations without guilt, to say no without fear, and to stand alone if necessary. A narcissist will try to make you feel like you are nothing without them, but confidence reminds you that you were something before they arrived, and you will be something long after they are gone. When you are confident, you become unpredictable to a narcissist. They cannot manipulate someone who refuses to doubt themselves. They cannot control someone who does not seek their approval. They cannot weaken someone who already knows their strength. This is why narcissists despise confident people. They remind them of everything they are not. They may attempt to break you, to find cracks in your armor, to attack your self-worth in moments of vulnerability. But if your confidence is built on a foundation of truth, they will never succeed. Confidence is not just about what you say. It is about how you carry yourself. It is in your posture, your tone, your decisions, and your presence. It is in the way you handle conflict, in the way you set boundaries, in the way you refuse to be drawn into their chaos. A narcissist will try to provoke you, to make you react emotionally, to pull you into their world of manipulation. But when you remain calm, composed, and assured, they realize they have no power over you. If you want to truly break free from the influence of a narcissist, stop giving them control over your emotions. Stop explaining yourself to them. Stop trying to prove yourself to them. Stop allowing their opinions to dictate how you see yourself. When you become confident in who you are, their words lose power, their presence loses impact, and their attempts to control you become futile. Confidence is not given, it is built. It is a choice you make every day to believe in yourself, to trust your instincts, to refuse to be shaken by the opinions of others. And when you make that choice consistently, you will find that no narcissist, no manipulator, no external force can ever take away your power again. A narcissist operates through manipulation, deception, and control. Their greatest tool is provoking emotions in others. They do not seek genuine relationships. They seek reactions, responses, and chaos. Their power lies in how much influence they have over your emotions and decisions. If they can make you angry, they win. If they can make you feel guilty, they win. If they can make you doubt yourself, they win. The only way to take back control is to refuse to engage in their games. The moment you stop playing, they lose their power over you. A narcissist feeds off confrontation. They push buttons, twist words, and create conflict because they need to feel superior. They want you to argue, to explain yourself, to fight for their approval. But no matter what you say or do, they will always find a way to shift blame, deny responsibility, and turn things against you. This is why engaging with them is a trap. When you argue with a narcissist, you are stepping onto their battlefield, playing by their rules, and they do not play fair. Their goal is not resolution, it is dominance. They will lie without shame, gaslight without guilt, and manipulate without hesitation. The more you try to reason with them, the more tangled you become in their web of deception. The key to defeating a narcissist is emotional detachment. You must train yourself to remain calm, unaffected, and indifferent to their tactics. They will say things designed to trigger you. They will insult you, belittle you, and provoke you. But if you do not react, if you do not show emotion, they are left powerless. Imagine a fire that has no oxygen. It cannot burn. The same applies to a narcissist. When you remove the emotional fuel, their manipulation loses its effect. This is not about ignoring reality or allowing mistreatment. It is about understanding that a narcissist's words and actions are only effective if you give them power. You must learn to see their behavior for what it is, a desperate attempt to maintain control. When they accuse you of things you did not do, do not defend yourself. When they twist the truth, do not correct them. When they try to make you feel guilty, do not apologize. Instead, respond with silence, neutrality, or simple disengagement. A narcissist expects emotional reactions. When they do not get one, they become frustrated. A practical way to implement this is by using short, non-engaging responses. When a narcissist tries to provoke you, respond with phrases like, "I see," "That's your opinion," or "Okay." These phrases offer no emotional reaction, no argument, and no fuel for manipulation. They do not give the narcissist the satisfaction of control. Over time, they will realize that their usual tactics do not work on you, and they will either escalate temporarily in an attempt to regain control or lose interest and move on to someone who gives them the reaction they crave. Another crucial aspect is refusing to justify yourself. A narcissist will demand explanations for things they already understand, not because they seek clarity, but because they want to keep you in a cycle of defending yourself. They will accuse you of being unreasonable, selfish, or unfair, just to see how much they can make you question yourself. But you do not owe them explanations. Your choices, boundaries, and feelings are valid without their approval. The moment you stop explaining yourself to someone who only seeks to twist your words, you reclaim your power. Remaining calm in the face of manipulation is a skill. It requires practice, patience, and self-awareness. You must remind yourself that their words do not define you. Their accusations are not your truth. Their opinion is not your identity. The more you anchor yourself in self-confidence and emotional stability, the less influence they have over you. Walking away from a narcissist's game is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the understanding that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on someone who only seeks to drain it. It is the realization that you cannot change them, fix them, or reason with them. But you can change how you respond. And in that response lies your freedom. The ultimate way to win against a narcissist is to live your life unaffected by their presence. Let them see that their words do not shake you, their manipulation does not move you, and their attempts to control you do not succeed. When you refuse to engage, when you remain calm in the storm of their chaos, you rob them of their greatest weapon. And in doing so, you set yourself free. Setting firm boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to protect yourself from manipulation and control. A narcissist thrives on access to your emotions, your thoughts, and your reactions. Their power lies in their ability to dictate how you feel and what you do. But when you establish clear boundaries and enforce them with confidence, you deny them the ability to control your life. Boundaries are not just physical or verbal limits, they are a declaration of self-respect, a statement that says, "I will not allow you to define my reality." One of the greatest mistakes people make when dealing with a narcissist is thinking that they can negotiate with them. A narcissist does not see relationships in terms of mutual respect. They see them as opportunities for dominance. They do not honor agreements unless it benefits them. They do not recognize fairness unless they are the ones in control. This is why setting boundaries is not just a matter of telling them what you will and will not accept. It is about enforcing those boundaries with unwavering consistency. If you set a boundary but do not reinforce it, a narcissist will see it as a challenge, a rule to be broken, a test they must pass to regain control. Boundaries are not about changing the narcissist. They are about changing how you respond to their behavior. You cannot make them respect you, but you can demand respect by refusing to tolerate manipulation. If they attempt to twist your words, you do not argue. If they try to guilt trip you, you do not explain yourself. If they try to push past your limits, you stand firm. You do not have to justify your boundaries because they are not up for debate. Many people struggle to enforce boundaries because they fear the reaction of the narcissist. They worry about being seen as rude, harsh, or unkind. But a boundary is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-care. A narcissist will try to make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself because guilt is one of their greatest weapons. They will say you are being selfish, ungrateful, or unreasonable. But understand this, the only people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. One of the key aspects of strong boundaries is learning to say no without explanation. A narcissist will push for details, hoping to find an argument they can dismantle or a weakness they can exploit. When you say no, say it with confidence. Do not feel the need to justify your decisions. If you do not want to engage in a conversation, you can simply walk away. If you do not want to do something, you can decline without an apology. The more you explain, the more you give them room to manipulate your words. Emotional detachment is also essential in enforcing boundaries. A narcissist feeds off reactions, whether positive or negative. If they can make you angry, they win. If they can make you feel guilty, they win. If they can make you explain yourself, they win. But when you detach emotionally, when you refuse to engage in their games, they lose their grip on you. They will try harder at first, testing your limits, pushing you to react. But if you remain steady, if you do not waver, they will begin to realize that their tactics no longer work. One of the most powerful ways to enforce boundaries is through distance. If possible, limiting your exposure to the narcissist can be the ultimate form of self-protection. Some relationships cannot be completely cut off, but reducing interaction, limiting conversations, and controlling the time and space they occupy in your life can make a significant difference. You do not have to announce that you are distancing yourself. You simply begin to act in alignment with your self-respect. You do not owe them your presence. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer manipulate you, they may react with anger, accusations, or even attempts to win you back through false kindness. Do not be deceived. True change requires deep self-awareness and effort, something a narcissist rarely invests in. They may apologize, promise to respect your boundaries, or act as if they have changed, but their goal is still control. A boundary is only effective if it remains in place no matter how much they try to push against it. Self-respect is not selfish. Protecting your peace is not cruel. Walking away from toxicity is not weakness. The more you honor yourself, the less power a narcissist has over you. The greatest act of defiance against a narcissist is not hatred, not revenge, but absolute indifference. When they realize that they can no longer control your emotions, dictate your actions, or invade your space, they will experience the greatest torture of all, powerlessness. A narcissist thrives on control, manipulation, and the ability to influence how others see themselves. Their greatest fear is losing relevance in the lives of those they seek to dominate. The moment you begin to live a purpose-driven life, you strip them of their power. When you commit yourself to a mission greater than them, they no longer have the ability to dictate your emotions, control your actions, or determine your self-worth. Purpose is a force that breaks every chain of manipulation. It is the one thing a narcissist cannot take from you unless you willingly give it away. They can criticize you, attempt to discourage you, and try to make you feel inadequate. But if you are anchored in your purpose, their words and actions will fall flat. A person who knows where they are going does not stop to argue with those who have no direction. A person who is driven by vision does not waste time with those who thrive on distractions. When you are clear about your purpose, you become immune to the narcissist's attempts to derail you. Their primary weapon is confusion. They twist words, create unnecessary conflicts, and project their insecurities onto others in an attempt to control them. But clarity is a weapon against confusion. When you are focused on what you were born to do, you will recognize that their chaos is simply an attempt to pull you away from your destiny. One of the biggest lies a narcissist will try to convince you of is that you are not capable, not worthy, or not enough. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind, hoping you will rely on their validation to feel significant. But when you live with purpose, you no longer seek their approval. Your identity is not defined by their opinions, but by the impact you are destined to make. The moment you stop looking to them for affirmation, they become powerless over you. A narcissist wants you to believe that your world should revolve around them. They drain your energy with their constant need for attention and praise. But when you are consumed by a purpose greater than them, they are no longer the center of your universe. Instead of giving your time and energy to their games, you invest in your growth, your dreams, and your calling. Your success becomes a direct reminder to them that they never had the control they thought they did. Many people who have been manipulated by narcissists waste years trying to win their approval or prove their worth to them. But true freedom is found when you stop seeking validation from those who do not respect you and start walking in the direction of your destiny. A narcissist wants to be your priority, but when you make your purpose the priority, they are forced into the background of your life. They hate this because it reminds them that they are not as powerful as they once believed. A person with a mission is unstoppable. A person with vision is unshakable. The narcissist may try to criticize you, mock your dreams, or create obstacles in your path, but when you are committed to your purpose, their actions become irrelevant. They will watch in frustration as you rise, as you succeed, as you break free from their grip and step into the life you were meant to live. Success is not about proving them wrong. It is about proving to yourself that they never had the final say over your destiny. The best way to defeat a narcissist is not through anger or revenge, but through personal transformation. Grow beyond them. Elevate above their games. Build a life so fulfilling that their presence or absence makes no difference to you. That is the ultimate victory. A narcissist's greatest torture is realizing they no longer have control over you. When they see you thriving, when they see you unbothered, when they see you walking confidently in your purpose, they are left with nothing. Your purpose is your power. The moment you fully embrace it, you are free.